to admit those people? Yes. Record, and can you admit those people on into the Zoom while I'm going on to this? All right. Hello everyone. Thank you for attending tonight's event, and we have a very exciting guest tonight. Before I make a introduction, raise your hand if you have InnoCaptions. It looks like about half of you, 50-50. Well, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Jonathan Osak, the Social Media Director and the Community Engagement Coordinator for the Boston chapter. I'll be managing this Zoom tonight along with Brad. If you have any questions, please direct message me or Brad. Even better, use a hand icon on the bottom to raise your hand. With that being said, Christina is a Senior Director of the Regulatory Affairs at InnoCaption, where she leads efforts across a broad range of regulatory, compliance, and advocacy issues impacting hard of hearing customers and providers of accessibility technology. As a daughter of two individuals who have been hard of hearing since birth, she brings a lifelong personal connection and deep commitment to accessibility and communication. She also earned JD from American University Washington College of Law and her BA from Hood College. Did you know that she also serves as a treasurer on the board of directors for the HLAA California State Association and sits on the advocacy committee for the Association of the Late Deafened Adult VIA ALDA. So, Christina, thank you very much for being here. And before we get a head start, I'm gonna go through a couple of ground rules. Don't worry, everyone. Captions are enabled. Meeting is being recorded to be made available to our members via YouTube. So right after this meeting, there's gonna be a lot of people. People are gonna have the opportunity to look at our YouTube. Please mute yourself during the presentation. Hold questions to the end of each topic. And for Q&A, please raise your hand at the icon. Now, if you're a little nervous, not wanted to ask a question, please feel free to DM me and I'll be happy to ask Christina questions. So with that being said, Christina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jonathan. Wow, I'm seeing all of these people come in and I see so many familiar names in here, even people who aren't in Boston logging in to watch the presentation. So it's very exciting. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, now I am just going to readjust my screen so I can see your beautiful faces. Okay, well, as Jonathan said, my name is Christina. I am the Senior Director of Regulatory Affairs for InnoCaption, but the title doesn't mean much. I do a little bit of everything. You know, it probably sounds more impressive than it actually is. I grew up in the community. Both of my parents were born with a profound hearing loss. They were the only members of their families with hearing loss. They were born into hearing families. They had hearing aids from when I was born until bilateral until I went to college. And then my dad got his first CI. And when my dad got his second cochlear implant, my mom got her first cochlear implant in an adjoining hospital room. It was very cute. The local VCU newspaper did a story in the local paper saying it was a cochlear implant love story. And then my mom got her second one a couple years later. So both of my parents now are bilateral cochlear implant recipients. And growing up, I'm the oldest of four. We're all hearing. And it was my job in the house from a very young age to answer the phone because my parents did not have telecommunications access for a very long time. I was telling people that it was from the time I was one, like I was super impressive being able to have full conversations. My dad recently on video said I was four. I don't think that's right. I feel like it was much younger, but we will agree to disagree on that point. So for years, I answered the phone for my parents, and my dad is a big accessible technology guy. He um, is actually an audio engineer, and growing up did custom loop systems and listening systems. So he did HLAA Nationals listening system in their conference room. But I share this because he would always be going to conferences growing up, and I was his guinea pig. He would call me every time he was testing out a new technology, like, oh, well, how do I sound? What's the audio quality? And it wasn't until he called me on InnoCaption that I felt like I was having a conversation with a hearing person. And at the time, the company was not certified to provide the service at the FCC. They had not fully launched yet. And he got involved a few months after for advocacy. And then in 2015, that was 2013 or 2014. In 2015, I joined the team to help facilitate and liaise with the FCC to address some issues. And then he joined as CEO after that. So technically, I had my job first for anybody on here being like, oh, her dad gave her her job. Um, and it's been an adventure. We've grown a lot. We've grown the team a lot. And I'm just all of that since I was asked to give a little bit of introduction on my background. I'm very excited to be here with you guys. So now I can stop talking about me and get to the presentation. Okay, well, this is me. I really hate this headshot of myself. They keep putting it in things. I have Christmas earrings on. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but it's here for now, so you guys get to see it. So we'll start out with introducing InnoCaption. I know a lot of you on the call are very familiar with InnoCaption already. You're already InnoCaption users, but since not everybody raised their hand, I am going to give the overall. So InnoCaption is a captioning app for your cell phones. It is not for in-person captioning. It's for cell phone calls to make sure that when you get a call, you can see what the other person on the phone is saying to you as you're simultaneously listening to the audio, and then you use your own voice to respond. It's for individuals in the deaf and hard of hearing community. And the golden rule that I tell people is you can use InnoCaption to make any phone call that a hearing person would make. So and my presentation tends to skew to the legal side. I know you guys really wanted Matt, but he was busy and on the consolation prize. But this presentation will skew to the legal side as opposed to the marketing side. But I'll do my best to cover both. The golden rule is you can use InnoCaption to make any phone call that a hearing person would make. So as a hearing person, I would call into a webinar. I would call into a telehealth appointment, even audio in a Zoom meeting. But what I wouldn't do is be sitting in my living room with somebody and say, wait, I'm not understanding what you're saying. Let me call your cell phone so I can get captions of what you're saying. So where the line is drawn is really that in-person communication. And apparently I don't know how to switch sides the right way. There we go. There is no cost for eligible users. We get comments all the time on social media. Oh, it's free. Watch out. This is a scam because we ask for your personal information. So free is probably the wrong word to use because really it's no cost to you as the consumer. Somebody is paying for it. Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, people in the United States that have hearing and speech disabilities have a right to equal telecommunications access, and they can't be charged rates that are any higher than other individuals in the United States. So what that means is you have to pay for your cell phone plan and the devices that you use to access it. But the app itself, we are funded through the Telecommunications Relay Services Fund. So it is funded by a tax that all of these telecommunications providers, AT&T, T-Mobile, need to pay into, and then pays for the minutes of this service. Since we're certified and funded by TRS, we're audited and we have very strict requirements on protecting your information and the way we handle phone calls. So free for eligible users it is no cost to you. And to qualify, you need to be an individual in the United States that has a hearing loss and audio processing disorder and needs captions to understand your phone calls. So who we are, this photo shoot was the most awkward thing ever. We were actually having a meeting and the photographer was coming through. I noticed that I'm like recoiled here, but I don't have a very friendly thinking face. So when I'm processing, my face looks a little aggressive, but when you have a photographer taking candid pictures during an actual meeting, like half of these were not great. So I guess it's only fair that this is what they put in of me in the corner recoiling. I felt like I should address that. So we were founded in 2007. And since then, we've launched and relaunched our app, won awards, and we now, I mean, Matt, who many of you on this call know is my husband, he does marketing. When we first launched in 2016, we were a team of like 5 people, if that, and now we're over 40, which is incredibly exciting. It's led to a lot of innovation and updates. But our mission and the culture of the company has luckily stayed the same. Okay, so we are the only IP caption phone service provider that gives users the choice to use a live CART provider or stenographer for every call. Users are able to switch between caption modes. So we have automatic speech recognition, which is computer captions, or a live person. If you don't choose, the default when you register is automated captioning. And that's because for a lot of calls, it works really well. If you're following captions here, and I know this is risky to say because I noticed something funky with Zoom captions last week, but my voice generally processes very well. I was raised in a household where my parents told me to project my voice, enunciate my words. My dad would yell at me to not speak like a machine gun on fire. I fail at that sometimes, but automated speech recognition normally processes my voice very well. Now, you put my father with automatic speech recognition captioning. He was born in Portugal. English is his second language. He speaks English fluently. Human beings understand him just fine. Automatic speech recognition hates him. Half the things it spits out are not very nice words, most of them 4 letters, and my father does not use 4-letter words. So it's incredibly uncomfortable for people who are very reliant on the captions to be relying on them for what he's saying. And that's why we have this caption mode switch. Way back when we started looking into it, I originally was surprised when we started hearing from consumers that they wanted the option to have automatic speech recognition, because growing up in the community, CART is the gold standard. And I was like, well, if we're offering CART, why do you want automatic speech recognition? And after talking to numerous consumers, I was told various reasons from, oh, well, with my residual hearing and the speed of automatic speech recognition, I like that captioning. Or if I'm on a long hold with the Social Security Administration, I do not want to be using CART, which is a limited resource, when I could instead be on automatic speech recognition. There were a lot of different reasons, but we decided to implement it and put it in the app. So my father was testing it, and I feel like I should say, Jonathan, I know I said I was going to be watching the comments, but I can't actually see them with the computer set up. So if at any point there's anything, yeah, thank you. Um, my father was testing automatic speech recognition, and he made a phone call to an airline. And the first part of the call went really well. Computers understand computers. And he was able to navigate after a 20-minute hold. He was transferred to a representative. That speech pattern did not process well with ASR. And so he was in the position of having to ask a hearing person to help with a call or disconnect and make the call all over again. And neither one of those is accessible. So he told our engineers that he needed an option to be able to press a button and get a live cart provider on the spot if that's what he needed. And it took about a year and a half. Our engineers figured it out. So now consumers have the option to switch even in the middle of a call as their accessibility needs change. So there's a couple differences between what you'll get with a live stenographer versus automated captioning. The live stenographer is able to provide additional information. So like nonverbal cues, like in parentheticals, dog barking, or poor audio quality, mumbling, background noise, to kind of indicate to you if there's an issue with the audio information they're getting. They cannot communicate directly with you, but they can tell you what they're hearing. And for lots of people, it's very helpful to know if the other person is laughing or if there's a child crying in the background. Um, Automatic speech recognition can't do that yet. There are companies that say that it can. We've tested it. It's not very accurate. I mean, outside of the phone context, I've had my Google Home tell me multiple times that there's hard glass breaking in my kitchen when I'm not home. And luckily, it sends the audio, and I'll realize, oh, somebody put the pan away loud, or fire alarm going off in your kitchen. And it's actually the washing machine that's just saying it has an uneven load. I put way too much in my washing machine. I hear that alarm all the time, but it's not super accurate. And that's not something that you want on your phone calls, saying that, oh, fire alarm in background, and you're telling the person, oh, do you need to evacuate? Like, what are you talking about? So that's a benefit of using CART over automatic speech recognition. But automatic speech recognition is really fast. And where it works really well. Just one of those things where it doesn't work really bad. I don't know what the opposite of it is, but you guys get what I'm saying. Both of these, though, are private and confidential. The same laws that apply to human captioners for confidentiality and privacy apply to automatic speech recognition as well. So now we get into the privacy. So what that means, our stenographers or CART providers, I use that word interchangeably, they undergo background checks, they have confidentiality agreements, compliance training. These are also people who work in highly confidential areas. So it's part of what they do. They can actually only hear the other party on the line, not the InnoCaption user. The exception to this is if you're in a conference call, but it's incredibly difficult to understand the full context of a conversation if you can only hear one side of it. Our ASR engine, it doesn't log any audio and no machine learning happens. So something that consumers need to be very aware of is when using free services or automatic speech recognition captions, like what is happening with that audio, and that what the automatic speech recognition engine is learning, or is it learning from the captions that you're using on it. For IPCTS providers, caption phone providers, we're not allowed to have any kind of machine learning or audio logging. So it is fully confidential. And your transcripts, they're saved locally on your device. And even when you do a backup, so if you have an iPhone, it'll back up to your iCloud, or Android, it'll back up to I believe your Google Drive, but those files can only be accessed through your InnoCaption app. Our team does not have access to them. And we've had people contact us and ask, oh, can you recover this transcript? Can you take a look at this for me? We can't because the system's not designed that way, but also you wouldn't want us to. Phone conversations are highly private. Okay, so we're about to go through some features. The reason we have it here saying they're now available on Android is because for a long time, for those of you who have been users for a while, we had, oh, this is highly distracting while I'm talking. I'm just going to go to the next slide. But for a long time, we had updated features in the Apple app, and Android took longer to develop. So that's why we take a moment to make sure that everybody knows that these are available on both now. When you download InnoCaption, you don't need to use another phone number through call forwarding. You're able to keep your regular number, and we're able to show your regular number on the caller ID. I'm going to go through these fairly quickly to make sure that for those of you who have already used the service, I'm not wasting your time, but also if you guys have questions at the end, I can go more into detail. As I mentioned, we do have call transcripts. There is actually a setting in the back as well that if you do not want any transcript saved, you can customize it that way too. They'll just immediately be deleted. You have your caption voicemail system, and now, because of community feedback, we have made it so it's closer to the experience on like an Apple device where you're left a voicemail, you can see the transcript that's already generated. The difference with ours is you can actually press a button to recaption with CART or recaption with ASR if you're like, this transcript looks off. We have captioning available in other languages. Now, this is not a translation tool. You have to be speaking the same language as the other person, but I love this feature because there's so many bilingual individuals or individuals who aren't bilingual that don't speak English in the United States that have been stuck in for telecommunications accessibility where everybody else was in 1990 without access, and the ability to provide captioning in different languages now is just awesome, and automatic speech recognition lets us do that. We have InnoCaption Web, which used to be called Desk View, but it's now InnoCaption Web. And this is for people who would like to make calls directly from their computer for situations, like this, where you're in a meeting and you want to use captioning, but you don't want to get, as somebody referred to it, as whiplash going between your cell phone and the computer screen. You can take the call directly from your computer. It's also a wonderful feature, or it's not really a feature, but it's a wonderful thing to use if you're struggling with your connectivity, whether it's over Wi-Fi or on your cell phone, because if your computer has a hardwired internet connection, you can use that to make your calls. Okay, so measuring our impact. We did a white paper. We contracted with a couple of audiologists that work in academia to help us get data on the impact of the InnoCaption app. Because once we started working with audiologists and trying to educate on the resources available, we realized that the anecdotal stories that we have about the impact for some people aren't very compelling. Some people like to see data. We didn't know if we'd be able to show the anecdotes and data, but it was pretty cool. The team worked hard. I cannot take any credit for this, but what they did was they sent surveys out when people registered for the InnoCaption app for the first time, asking if they'd be willing to participate in a survey. There's one in the beginning and one at the end of a 3-month period. And if they answered, it didn't matter what their answers were, but both of them, they would get a $20 gift card, something like that. So we got a baseline, which was asking people the effort that they had to use on their phone calls when they make them on their smartphone. And this is without captioning, because remember, they just downloaded the app for the first time, hadn't used it yet. And on average, it was a 7 that people were saying they had difficulty. And then in the follow-up survey that was 3 months later, the average went down to 3.6 for the effort that people felt they were putting in to make phone calls. People overwhelmingly reported initially that they were feeling frustrated and exhausted, a bunch of things. If you scan here, you can actually read the white paper if you're interested. But at the end of the 3 months, people were sharing that those feelings went to confident, happy, and content, and reporting a significant decrease in listening fatigue. I share this with you not because I think that anybody on this call doesn't understand how frustrating it can be to make phone calls, more that we felt it was really exciting that we were actually able to put a lot of these stories into data to show. And now for a Q&A. Oh, if at any point you guys want to reach out to our team, we have a great team, support, marketing. I guess Matt's email's in here, but you guys can reach out anytime. We're always happy to hear from you guys. And I will share this presentation after. Hopefully, the Boston chapter can send it around if anybody wants it. And here's a QR code for the InnoCaption app, but I'm happy to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so we can get some Q&A.